that hard?
Yeah, that was hard. How do you get to...
Do I look hard?
You got your car in the back.
Hey!
You look like you're from... Nothing says you look hard like asking, do I look
hard? Yeah, yeah. If you have to ask, that's when you know it's not the case. Today we're at Toronto Motorsports Park. It's OTA's second event. So yesterday was the school, today is the first timed event of the season. The main idea of OTA is to provide a competition space on the racetrack where you can drive your lightly modified OE car, and that's sort of like the biggest advantage is that you don't need to spend so much money just trying to get to the track. You can bring something as basic as a stock car or as modified as some fully caged M3 with a giant wing, which is what a lot of people bring to these events. There's a very good variety of cars you can see, big variety of drivers in terms of the skill level. So if you want to absorb more from your track day, I think OTA is the place because you have all these different kinds of people. You could just talk to them in the paddock or look at their times on a sheet. And that's one of the bigger advantages, because if you're just going to a track day, not everybody has their lap times, or not everybody likes to talk about it. But when you have a sheet that shows everybody's times, you're like, oh, this car can do this time, or this driver can do this time in this car. And it puts you in such a better perspective of where you are at your own skill level, and then it helps you grow that much faster. Today I'm focusing on 3 specific corners. So turn 1, turn 2, and turn 9. It's a little bit of a mix of both high speed and low speed corners. The focus is because with the new setup, on the previous couple of track days I found I was most inconsistent in those corners, or I looked in the data and then I was like, okay, I can really improve there compared to some of these people. Especially for example, the car in front of me, we compared the data plots when he was on stock tires, so the Michelin Primacy, and he was getting a faster exit out of turn 1 despite having what would in theory be a worse tire. So that's when I knew I had to get a better exit and just work on that throughout the season. So yeah, my goals aren't specific to the series. Today I'm mainly focusing on myself, but I do like the competition aspect to get me in the zone and try and push myself a little bit more and sort of accelerate my learning in that regard. Yeah. Feeling the tires on the colder pavement, so pavement temperature was about 22 degrees. I've never driven these tires in temperatures that cold, and just feeling out the tires, it's most memorable because it's a different quality than I've driven them before. maybe if there was a specific event. Oh, watching the yellow Focus ST come around at turn 3 and like I almost like hit nose to nose with that car. Yeah, that was interesting. But maybe their tires were cold, maybe they weren't warming up properly. I'm not sure. It was on the outlap. I hope I got that on camera. Yeah. Maybe doing this and talking about my technique is, you know, doing something in my brain to remind myself to, you know, drink more water and take it easy. At no point in the day did I want to feel pressured. And, you know, if anybody trying to get into time attack, like, it's not that serious. You don't need to like think about being fast. Think about yourself and how you control the car first, and then the speed will come. And I just got to remind myself that every time. That sort of like positive reinforcement, like telling myself to relax. I do check my heart rate prior to each session. So like right now it's like on my Fitbit here, it's a little bit hard to see. Might be 62 BPM. So like I'm just resting, but prior to my track session, it was about 88. In the past, when I first started, it was like 120 because I was stressing about, oh, I gotta be fast. I'm looking at the score sheet and guy behind me is like only a couple tenths away. I gotta pull a really fast lap here. And I wouldn't recommend that because you end up making more mistakes. There was a session, I think at least once in every time session last year, I went off, like 4 wheels off, and you have to stop. And the session has to continue there. You can't block anybody else's driving. So you essentially throw away seat time because you're putting all that pressure on yourself. So yeah, that was a pretty big change of like just checking the heart rate as part of my like session prep sort of rating system. And yeah, I'm just gonna make sure my heart rate is low before starting and get relaxed prior to competition. The competition space is not where you want to be making rash decisions and trying to be a 10-10 driver, because what will more likely happen is you're going to overslow the car in brakes because, I don't know, you're trying to push the braking zone a little bit further, or you're not going to corner as fast because, I don't know, you're pushing your braking zone and then you're not getting a good entry. I don't know, like, I'm just gonna try to keep relaxed. I think that's the best move. So yeah, to decompress, I just reflect on my lap. What could I have done better? Check my tires to see if the wear is really bad, especially because I'm testing a compound that I've never driven, like without much experience. So, and then drink water, basically. Drink water and laugh with the boys. Take some photos of cars. I don't know, do something away from the car and don't think about it. When you get in the car, do your thinking, tell yourself you're gonna have a good session, and then repeat for the rest of the day, basically. Session 2 of the time sessions. It was a weird start. We were waiting for quite a while. There was basically this Corvette that went off the track. What they did was they had the driver go offline into like turn 2, so away from any of the racing lines, and then they were gonna allow the session to go. So the next session went. That driver in the Corvette was out of the car by then, so the Corvette was just sitting on the side there, and they're probably gonna pull it off at the end of the day. So session 2, I'm waiting. The next group ahead of me goes, and then another driver has a mechanical failure. I think they said their like hub came off, or you know, something happened with the wheel coming off. So that car is pretty much immobile. Luckily, it was off the track surface and away from the driving line in turn 3 or turn 4. So yeah, usually they try to get the cars off of the track. It's obviously safest, but in these cases the cars were immobile in a safe spot. We were able to drive with the cars on the track. Sort of makes it interesting in terms of like the driver's standpoint, because you have to, you know, train your vision not to stare at this immovable object in front of you. But it might catch some of the like newer drivers off guard, which it did for me when I first started driving and I had to have a car on the surface. It was really weird. But yeah, that whole time where these two cars were going off, it was like maybe half an hour I was waiting in grid and I fell asleep. Like I was sitting in the car, music going, AC going, and I ended up falling asleep. I was trying to relax the whole day and keep my heart rate down, and I guess I got too relaxed and I ended up passing out for a few minutes. I was like, my head was like dozing off here and there. Okay, end of the day, we only got to have 2 time sessions. There were too many red flags, like all these delays of these cars going off track. So we ended off in, I believe, 4th place in GTA. And given that a lot of the modifications on this car don't allow it to be aggressively classed, I'd say 4th place is pretty good. In that last session where I started to find more control of the car, it was just better for me to, like, you know, not think about trying to win or trying to get in a podium or something. I was just trying to focus on the driving aspect and understanding what the car is capable of. And I think I truly achieved that by the end of the day. We watched back on our lap footage from the GoPro and basically determined it was like, you know, there wasn't much more I could do, maybe some improvement in turn 1 and exiting turn 12. But overall, I was pretty comfortable with the way I performed on that last session. So we're leaving on a pretty good note. Got a lot of data, got a lot of you know, introspective information just from the way I drove the car, and I'm pretty pleased overall.